Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Red and Yellow Creative School of Business and our social media webinar. I'm really excited to be here today, and this has been a long time coming throughout the lockdown period. There's been a huge interest in social media peaking over this period, and just by the response to this webinar, I'm really excited to give you a little bit of insight into where we're heading in the future with social media. So a little bit about myself. My name is Sue Little. That's Sue without an E. I am a social media addict. I have been talking to strangers online for 25 years. I'm not joking. I was very privileged to have the internet in my home, dial-up modem from the age of 14. And when I say privileged, it's still a privilege to have access to the internet in your home. Now, there's a lot of stigma attached, and 25 years ago, it's talking to strangers online. But today, those geeks that I was talking to, those people that I was engaging with are some of the tech giants in the industry. They are serial entrepreneurs in technology and digital. And there was nothing cool about it back then, but today it's a very different story. I'm also a lecturer at our full-time school at Red and Yellow. I manage programs, online programs, because we do a lot of online training, host workshops, and I'm also Mama Kikaya. Mama Kikaya means mother of Kaya, which is isiNxhosa, and Kaya means home. So let's get started. This is the reality that has engulfed us today. As we all know, we're living in unprecedented times. There are two major topics the world is talking about, but even before then, we were like this. Now even more so since we've been locked down in our homes. So while this future feels quite uncertain to many of us, one thing that is for certain is that we have no other option but to adapt, to innovate, to develop ourselves and our businesses in order to navigate through this future of what we've heard termed business as unusual. So as internet users adapt to embracing the concept of new technologies and the platforms that come along with it, so do we. We want to either prepare ourselves for these new business opportunities or our businesses for what's about to come. So after this next wave of digital transformation that we're seeing, it's been thrust upon us. We've now been sent into this world where we have no choice but to connect with people via our mobile phones. You know, in the earlier days, we were connecting and sharing everything that we're doing. But what we can presume from this reality is that this time next year, people's online worlds would have changed dramatically, if they're not already. So we now need to get to ourselves to a point where we're embracing this fourth industrial revolution head on. We've gone from this, enjoying our lives through a lens. The selfie stick was a thing. It still is in most cases, and it's developed and evolved itself. So we document everything. We spend money on experiences and things, and then we post those things and show them off on social media. Now, all of this has been taken away, and we've been thrust into this curve. So this is our current situation. We've all seen the curve, we've heard about the second wave, but this is a different curve. This is what I would call our roller coaster. What we've seen is massive behavior changes in global society. Because of lockdown, digital user activity has increased across the board, across social platforms, across all digital channels. Mobile devices, desktop devices, activity has increased. But at the same time, in-store foot traffic has dropped remarkably, and it's going to be this way for quite a while to come, potentially. We don't really know what the future holds, but we want to be prepared. At the same time, we've seen an increase in online spending. Interestingly enough, that increase in online spending has also come from a much older demographic that used to be afraid or not as tech savvy or comfortable to purchase online. And now they're being forced to in order to keep themselves safe. Sadly, what we've also seen is a massive loss of jobs. Unemployment rate, particularly in the youth demographic, is huge. And ironically, this is the demographic that are more adept to adopting these digital technologies. They just don't know how, and they don't realize how easily accessible this information is. At the same time, we've seen an increase in online learning. And I'm not just talking for paid courses. But for those who have the capabilities and the means to do so, as well as the motivation to self-study, people have been doing online free courses, tutorials, teaching themselves new skills and expertise. So hello 2020, thanks for playing. And what we are now embraced with is this change. We never know when a new business opportunity is around the corner or when a new professional career change is around the corner. What has emerged out of this is that we've got new brand adventures online. Let's think positively. We've got new business opportunities by taking our businesses online or starting new businesses. And also career and professional opportunities. Starting a new profession, a new career, because we've been forced to, we have no alternative. So there are two emerging outcomes, and this webinar is aimed at these two audiences. You either are interested in transforming your business to digital, or you want to learn a new skill. So those that aim to move their business online are transforming by truly embracing the multitude of digital opportunities available to them. There is a lot. In this webinar, it just covers a very tiny percentage of what you can learn. So from marketing to sales to new product development and customer service, social media really is a great place to start transforming your business to digital. But then you've got those who aim to upskill themselves for future-proofing, or they're sourcing new career opportunities globally. Yes, globally. Those of us who have embraced and challenged with and finally accustomed ourselves to remote working have global opportunities if we remain digitally minded. So we are now preparing ourselves for a remote working style future. And we need to consider what successful, easy access solution professionally, and that is social media. The information is out there, and that's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you resources to find where you can teach yourself everything that you need to know to get started. So now you can be both these audiences. You can have one, both is great, you can have the other. But especially under these circumstances where everyone is really clutching hard at their personal resources to keep afloat, especially businesses. So if you're a small business and you have children, teenagers, nieces, nephews, friends, kids, age 16 and above, you can go earlier if they're interested and it's still fun for them. Get them to take part in this learning of these new skills, and let them help you manage your business online. You're all in a family home, or you're connected in some way. Gen Z have never known a world without the internet. This is where they soar naturally. It's inherent for them. I grew up climbing trees, and I saw that transition to digital. This is their whole world. You have young teenage girls or guys with millions of followers on TikTok just for being on TikTok and making videos. So creating digital content is their future. I encourage you to get them started young by channeling their interest in digital, their interest in social media somewhere useful, and upskilling them at an early age to respect building a business. So by teaching them these platforms, teaching them business and how to manage business through these platforms, by learning these free social media tools at which this webinar is aimed at, you can now move your business online and it becomes more so a family business. That is an option. But what ultimately is going to come out of this is that the more people that transform their business online, the more we're going to need new skill sets and to have people to help transform these businesses and help build these businesses. Because hopefully these businesses will do well online and they can invest more in hiring somebody. So with new businesses online, we need more skills. So at Red and Yellow, we are teaching the great creators, inventors, leaders, and entrepreneurs of the 21st century. And this really speaks to digital transformation. Personally, having spent 15 years working in social media on client side and on agency side, my perspective is that there's always been a reluctance to adapt quickly, to embrace digital and new technology in general. But we now have no choice. There's no more heel dragging when it comes to digital transformation. It's get on the train, leaving the station, get on, do it now. Bear in mind, I also lecture 18 to 19-year-olds on social media. So I too have had to learn to embrace new technologies. For example, TikTok. It is not a platform that my maturity level will allow me to engage in necessarily, but I have to understand it. Likewise, each and every one of us should never stop learning. We should always be having this growth mindset and wanting to develop and evolve ourselves. So over this lockdown period in particular, we've seen an increase in people wanting to learn and to grow their businesses. And you see people posting their learning achievements online. And that's what we're wanting to share here, is that you can learn for free online today. There are resources available, and I'm going to share a lot of them with you at the end of this webinar. So the cost of admission is free. The majority of what I'll introduce you today is free online, includes online learning material that you can get certified. There's obviously a cost to certification, but it's not difficult, and it won't put you out of pocket. But you could just learn. If you want to bring it to your own business, you can just learn, take the lessons, learn the theory. So it's clear that small businesses are looking for a way to cut back costs and potentially take part of their marketing in-house. And obviously people also want to advance themselves. And as I mentioned earlier, you can bring in your teenagers, or your niece or your nephew, and bring them into the small business. And it does make sense if your business is of a small size where it's still feasible for the owner to both run an effective business and connect, share, collaborate with their audience. And that's what social media is all about. There's a potential pool of customers that you need to tap into, and it goes beyond social media marketing. It requires you to connect in a meaningful and authentic way. So by taking social media in-house for now, while you can afford to or can't, you have no alternative, you're also learning to implement internally as an SME, and you're better be able to get the most out of building a social business. So there's key principles that I want to take you through when it comes to social media and engaging. And if you can get these right, you are already off to a good start. The customer is at the center of everything you do. You need to look at everything from their perspective. So consider your about section on your Facebook page. Consider what people see when they land on your social platform for the first time. Take off your branded rose-tinted glasses, ask a friend to check it for you. What do you see when you land on my page? Do you know what I'm all about? Do you know what I'm trying to sell? Do you know where I want you to go to buy my product or find out more? Is it clear? And the more clear it is, the more likely they're going to take advantage. So step into their shoes and lead with a user-centered mindset. Users didn't join to connect with brands initially. They connected to friends and family through their social platforms. But now they're connecting with brands, especially the younger generation. We are finding it very free to reach out to brands for customer support and services, and it's really important that we are there. Precision, target your customer. Okay, so with all this content creation, information gathering, and community engagement that occurs online, we often don't consider the data that we leave behind us. All of our conversations online, our content, our chats, our searches, build deep and complex data sets about our psychographics, and then platforms sell that information to brands. Now, before that freaks you out, remember, before you judge, this is why you're watching this webinar, because it is this detailed, targeted information that allows us to really find an audience that's relevant to us and is more likely to respond and engage with our brands. Social media is also about building and engaging with communities. We want you to build communities around interests, and because communities aren't built by brands, they are formed naturally around a common interest. So whether it be around a shared hobby, a sports team, or even location, online communities have become a major source of information and insight for members. So think of WhatsApp community groups, Facebook groups, and start leveraging how people are coming together to share information and how you can jump in there without being spammy, but offering value. Use those communities to get your business out there. Also consider how your Instagram feed as a user is tailored to your interests based on what you engage with most. Likewise, people are looking for content around their shared interests. Make sure that you're found. So we want, as social marketers, we want to leverage this community and behavior and build from that. We need to understand that word of mouth is the most trusted form of advertising. People get a feeling of connection to a company, and most likely they reward their efforts on behalf of the company if the company does right by them. So their loyalty is attitudinal, not just behavioral. If things go well for them, they become advocates. But the core driver of this relationship is trust. If you are not a trusted brand, people won't say nice things about you. It's like social media is becoming a friend to your customer. It's about building relationships. Social customers are more knowledgeable, they're more empowered and connected than ever before, and they have this public megaphone, their mobile phones, and they're not afraid to use them at any point of the day. Ultimately, word of mouth is driven by the influencer. And when I say influencer, I'm not talking about that person with 100,000 followers. I'm talking about you. You are an influencer. Each and every single one of us can have the potential to influence somebody to take an action that they never normally would have considered, because we can be brand advocates. So word of mouth promotion to influencers is like a rock that's dropped into a pond. It creates ripples that decay slowly over time. Likewise, influencer marketing creates these networks that we can connect to. So influential advocates act as content sharers. They will share our content with their network so we can reach new networks. They're these connectors, these bridges. Customers and community, they provide insightful feedback when they engage with your content and they reach out to you. We want to accelerate this word of mouth using social media, because we can understand that people can not only be influenced, but they can be influential. Okay. So social media is a measure of a brand's relationship and impact with its customers. So when you're under the microphone and the magnifying glass, make sure that you're as sweet and delicious as a chocolate mousse. You know what I mean. So ultimately, word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising. We want more of this and less of this. So if you can win that within your communities, you're going to build that word of mouth. So why is this important? So this goes back to, what is the return on investment in social media? Besides hard sales, which you can now make more easily, and I'll unpack that later, I'm going to introduce you to the social media return on investment cycle. So ultimately, there are three verticals. The first vertical is the marketing vertical. We're all playing in this space at the moment if we are on social media. You might be here, you might have taken your brand online quite recently, you've set up a Facebook page, you're on Instagram, you do what you need to do. You want to attract an audience. Your focus is on building the size of community. But actually that's a vanity metric when you become a more established brand. It's great for this when you're getting started. So you want to invest in building an audience, attracting an audience. And you do that through content and building of community. The return on that is hopefully your content is strong enough, hopefully your community is positive, and you build word of mouth. People share your content, they talk about you. The second vertical is the relationship management vertical. And I would love to see more brands take on this vertical, because this is where it really gets interesting. So this is about listening and engaging, asking questions to your community, listening to what they're saying. And like any good friend, you can think about the really great friends that we have. Those that listen and engage and ask questions are those the ones that we build the strongest connections with. And it works the same with between brands and customer. We want to trust our brands, and that's what's going to make us loyal if we feel heard because we were listened to and we were helped and our problem was solved. Think about the brands that don't really respond or don't solve your problem. You don't trust them and you're not loyal. The third vertical is the business vertical. Now, this is where we've listened and we've engaged. We take that data, those insights, and we analyze them. And we use that information to optimize our business. So whether it's in increasing new product development because you've gleaned insights from your audience and from your community, they've told you exactly what kind of products they're after, you're creating new product development. It could be something like a button on your website's not working, or a workflow or a process or journey in your business is not working for them. That feedback is insights that you must use to optimize your business. And by doing that, you're building an authentic business. That's the return. An authentic business is one where your promise Your brand promise matches your service delivery. So how this works together, because it's a cycle, is that we attract this audience, we listen and engage, we glean these insights that optimize our business. And in response to that, we are becoming an authentic business, a business that understands that its customer is the center, customer-centric, authentic business. And when people are authentic, when brands are authentic, when businesses are authentic, people trust them, they remain loyal, and most importantly, they speak about them positively through powerful methods like word-of-mouth marketing. And word-of-mouth marketing essentially is the ultimate return because it attracts a new audience without you having to do anything. So that's where we want to get. We want to get people to be speaking positively about us and attracting that audience on our behalf. So how do we get started? Social media, there are 4 pillars that form the foundation of social and how to get started. There's planning, platforms, people, and performance. Now, I don't have the time today to take you through all of this. I'm going to touch on a few things that I think are important quite briefly. Planning, here's your strategic planning. You must have a plan. You must know what your objectives are. You must know what you're starting out with, where you want to be, and your objectives must be smart. They must be measurable, they must be specific, and they must have a time allocated to them to when you want to achieve them. This includes keyword planning, defining your audience personas. These are the target audiences that you want to be speaking to. It's also about developing your brand identity. What is your color palette? What is your tone of voice? What do you look like in the social media space? How do people know that can identify that to your brand, that aesthetic to your brand? It's also about concepts and ideation, coming up with creative executions, content creation, content curation, finding content that you don't own but you want to share because it's similar to your values, and obviously targeting and segmentation to a specific audience. The platforms pillar is about unpacking which platforms and channels you're going to be using. Now, you can use the full suite of digital marketing. Today, I'm going to focus on a couple of key social media networks because I simply feel that they are the easiest to embrace at this stage and cost effective. Platforms also includes your content publishing. You can schedule content in advance so that it's not something that's always weighing on your mind. Have I posted today? I've also got to manage my business. I've also got to manage my household. Have I posted today? Planning in advance is great. Batch planning ahead will really help. Platforms also includes paid media management. So you want to reach a wider audience by putting some money behind your posts. And as you get more and more familiar with the social media platforms that you're using, you might feel more comfortable moving into this space and putting a bit of budget behind reaching a bigger and wider audience. And then there's also social storefronts and e-commerce that you can implement on your social platforms. The people side, this is my favorite part for me. Social media is all about the people and building relationships. Community management is speaking to your existing community. So this is about listening to what people are saying. You can listen outside of your community and using keyword searches on any of the platforms around your industry, around your products, your brand, your competitors, subjects that you are interested in, that your audience might be interested in, just really listening what's happening out there. Then responding to frequently asked questions. It helps to have an FAQ document. If you get the same questions very often, it helps to have your answers there, easy to copy and paste. Don't have the same response, just a tip, don't have the same response and copy and paste it. Have a few versions. But in the manner of saving time, it's okay to have a bank of frequently asked questions and have your answers there for you. You can also save them. They can be saved into Facebook Messenger, so that you don't have to retype the same answer every time. There's a lot of opportunity out there. Then you've got escalation protocols and RM, crisis management. That's for bigger brands that are more established in social media, so I'm not going to unpack that detail today. But consumer engagement is another big tool in social media. Influencer outreach is finding individuals that not necessarily, they could have a high reach, so they have a lot of followers. They could have high resonance or relevance to your brand. Resonance means that they have the ability to get people to take an action they never normally would have considered. And relevance means it's aligned to your brand. So you want to judge influencers by their reach, relevance, and resonance. And you don't have to focus only on high reach individuals. At this day and age, especially in the times that we are in now, reach out to people who might not have high reach, but have high resonance and high relevance to your brand. Look at product exchanges. Look at tapping into your friends and family, getting them to support your business through every time they see your content, like your content, share your content. Let's help each other. Let's work together here. Then there's proactive engagement. So proactive engagement is going out and finding keywords and key phrases that are aligned to your brand and your brand's content pillars or your brand's interests, and engaging with content from other people. This is how you get noticed. And it's a really amazing tactic just to get your brand out there. What's really important is when you start proactive engagement, you need to have an established platform. And what I mean by this is that, let's take an example. I'm running a brand. I've just set up my Instagram account. I'm really excited. I need to get followers. So you go search for keywords around similar brands or similar industries, similar subjects that you're interested in and you want to talk about that is aligned to your brand. And you comment on someone else's post and they go, oh, what's this brand about? They click on your profile. What do they see? And that is going to be the moment when they judge whether to follow you or not to follow you. So make sure that you only start this once you have a beautiful profile and a bit of content laid out, your profile is optimized, and then start proactively engaging to build your following. Follow people that are similar to you, engage on their posts, and get noticed. And then the final pillar is performance. This is measuring your success, looking at your analytics. Again, all of this analytics is built into your platforms. It's freely available. Looking at your competitors, mining the insights, and using this to develop your strategy. So the first step, of course, is to have a strategy, but also looking at what are your strategic uses of social media. Now, marketing 101, there is a funnel. And we want to move people. We want to attract them with our amazing content and the creation that we're doing, and we want to get them into the top of the funnel. Okay, that's the first time they become aware of our product. Then they might consider us and go check out our website or go check out our Facebook page or our Instagram, or go look at our feed. Then they might evaluate us against our competitors. Here they might look at reviews, testimonials, and finally they convert, hopefully, to either a sale or a lead. We want to move people down this funnel. And as you can see, there's fewer and fewer people as we move down the funnel. And once they have converted, we want to nurture them because we want them to not only repurchase our product, we want them to refer us to their friends and family. Now, if we look at what social media what business goals we can solve with social media, advertising and awareness, top of the funnel. You can get huge reach, targeted brand awareness for new brands, for existing brands, to new audiences. Communication and outreach, so that's like your proactive engagement, getting your content out there to more people. Community management is in generating engagement and listening and asking questions to your community to find out more about how they use your product, how they experience your brand. Support and customer service, we want to help our customers. We want to make sure that we can solve their problems very quickly. There's reputation management, so that involves a lot of listening and seeing how people perceive our brand online. Insights and research, again, listening, taking that data, analyzing that data, and using it to build a better business, product, or service. SEO, search engine optimization, that is a whole other workshop, webinar, or course in itself, but that's how to use content and optimize content to appear in search engine results pages. And then finally, sales and leads conversions. So these business goals can be broken down into objectives, social media objectives. The top of the funnel is about driving brand reach. Now, reach is a metric. It's something that we can measure. Brand awareness is not. Reach is an actual metric within Facebook, within Instagram, that is measurable. That's what we want. We want to have measurable objectives. Creating positive engagement, we can count the number of engagements we get. That includes clicks as well. And then generating conversions. How many sales did we get? How many leads did we generate? So essentially, remember, we're moving people down the funnel. Now, the first step we need to do is understand our target audience. We do this with listening. Listening is the process of researching, observing, and assessing a consumer's conversation in various forms of digital media. It happens in a variety of ways. You can use market and industry monitoring, trend watching, social media monitoring, customer service, like how many queries did we get around that particular issue. Why should we care? It's a strong listening program gives you information necessary to build ongoing relationships, real-time actionable opportunities to engage. People they love it when a brand is very responsive. It helps you to analyze the brand's health. It helps you to build blocks to inform your next strategy, and it also helps you to understand who your target audience is. There's different levels of investment when it comes to social listening. You can just put keyword searches and listen to what people are saying into various tools, or just use the search bar. It's free on any of the platforms, and listen to keywords. You can ask questions, and that's where your FAQ response plan and your escalation protocol will come in. Then your proactive engagement, going out, soliciting, or that's not the right word, but asking questions of people and to get a little bit more qualitative data. Okay, so keyword search will give you quantitative information, volume of information, whereas asking questions will give you qualitative. And then you've got relationship management, which includes customer service. Now, all of this information is used to plan for the future, mine for insights, and monitoring what's going on so that we can better understand our audience. Because as I said earlier, it's all about them. We want to narrow down our target audience to the kind of people that our brand wants to talk with. We can't talk to everybody. It's impossible to reach everyone with a piece of content that is relevant to them. So understanding who our audience is really vital, because at the end of the day, we want to offer them value. And we also don't want to spray and pray and reach too many people with a very generic message, because we want to capture their attention. And we are living in a crisis of attention right now. People scroll past what you have to say very quickly unless it grabs them, unless it stands out from the clutter. And so you've got to be remarkable. And how do you do this? You do this by providing value. So value is ultimately defined by your target audience. What is valuable to them? This will unpack what your key segments are. So you've got a broad target audience, but what are the segments that you want to focus on? So I'll give you an example for this. Your target market for a car brand is anybody aged 18 to 80, right? Let's assume that 80-year-olds are happy, keen drivers, but 18 to 80 for a car brand. But the segments in those can be broken down into students. They have very different motor vehicle needs to new parents or family cars. Okay, so you want to unpack what those key segments are. You want to find out what interests them. There's two very different interests in those segments that I've given you. Do these consumers use social media? If so, how do they use it? What platforms are they on? What channels are they using? Is there any on-the-ground factors that are affecting their responses on social media? We saw a day where everybody went silent out of respect. We've seen unprecedented times where everybody's talking about trending and hard-hitting topics in the media at the moment. How is this impacting our brands? And most importantly, are they likely to find any value in following your brand? So what we do is we ask 3 questions. Who is my audience? Okay, unpack those segments. Speak to them as if they're an individual. What actions do I want them to take? Do I want them to enjoy my feed, engage on my content? Think back to the objectives that in that funnel. Do we want them to convert to sale? Do we want to help them with customer service? What information do they need to feel confident in taking that action? And you're going to craft content around that. But in order to understand that audience, you need to build a customer persona. So a customer persona is obviously going to include demographics. Are they primarily male, female? How old are they? Urban, rural? But very much the psychographics. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What is their concerns? What are their values in life? Their motivations, their wants, their needs, their desires, their fears. Unpack that, because that's when you speak to the heart of people. And that's when content really has an impact, when you speak to people's emotions. Unpack what their digital habits are. What kind of device would they mostly use? What's their online activity? What platforms do they use? So this profile is something that a writer will create to embody the characteristics of your target audience so that you can speak directly to them. Now you want to map the customer journey through touch points. So this is just a very brief example of taking that funnel and putting it on its side. It's the same process, and having different touch points. Now, touch points is anywhere a brand, a user or a person can touch your brand or have an interaction with your brand. And they're called touch points. They don't have to be physical touches, but they're interactions. So let's go on this journey. In the awareness stage, someone's never seen your product before, they aren't aware of it, and they see a social video that you've created, an advert. It's a beautiful video, and now they're aware of your product. You might have reached them on Instagram through proactive engagement, and after you've gone out and searched for keywords around shared interests or similar brands or similar products, and you've found people and you've engaged with their content, where it's relevant, though. Very important that it's relevant. Then they become aware of you. It could be a dark post. That's a post that doesn't appear on your page. They might consider you now that they're aware of you. They might see a WhatsApp message in a community group, and immediately that's word of mouth. And you now consider a brand or a product or a service more likely because someone else has referred you to them. You might go to their website to consider, or go to their Facebook page and see their content, what we call pillar content, the content the brand speaks about. It might be relevant. You might evaluate you, so they might look at how you engage with your customers through community management. Are you responsive? Are you encouraging? Are you warm? Are you friendly? What is your personality? And that might help them evaluate choosing you over your competitor. Then you've got retargeting. So this is if you've gone to visit a brand's page. As a user, you've gone to visit their website, and the brand can then use that information to retarget advertising to you so that you're more likely to purchase because you've seen and you've investigated them before. Then we've got storefronts. So storefronts, we're seeing them now. Facebook has exploded with smaller businesses now having online storefronts where they can showcase their catalog of products, and that ultimately will lead to a purchase. So you can either purchase through an e-commerce platform. There are very affordable e-commerce plugins that you can use. You can also use Facebook Marketplace if you meet certain criteria. Facebook have recently launched e-commerce directly from their platform, but it's only available in the US at the moment. But as I mentioned, there's plugins that are way affordable. And if they have launched it in the US now, in response to this pandemic, it is likely that it will come for free to the rest of the world, but we hope so. So the user has now purchased your product through your e-commerce platform, and hopefully the product and the experience was so great they leave you a positive review. And then they spread positive word of mouth as well to their friends and their networks. And ultimately that word of mouth impacts the next person who is evaluating your brand. So for the purpose of this webinar, we are talking about Facebook suite of tools because they are easily accessible. It is their tools are the top used tools globally and in South Africa. And it includes WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. So when you're choosing your platforms, you need to consider what your audience is interested in. So be very strategic in your platform selection. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So I've chosen one platform to rule them all, really, because Facebook and Instagram advertising is managed through one platform to make life easier. You can upload and manage all your content through Creative Studio. Your business manager includes some community engagement. You can manage inbox queries. You can set up and optimize your pages and profiles. You can upload a whole content library of content pieces that you've created. Because remember, you want to create content from the get-go and not be doing it day-to-day because it can get quite stressful. It's easier if you plan ahead, content in ahead. It also includes audiences as well, where you can actually create target audiences that you can use over and over again. It helps you to manage paid media, and it's got built-in analytics, it's got catalogs, billing, and all of this is for free. It's freely accessible, and they have a learning program. So you can go and do online lessons on how to do each and every step, one of these things. So I'm not here to teach you what they're going to teach you for free. I'm here to tell you from my experience, what works online. So platform optimization, as I said, it's a user-centered approach. Optimize your platform with the user's experience in mind. So I'll give you an example here. And this is on Instagram, but same will go for Facebook. So when people land on your page or your profile, you want to have a clear bio. You want people to know exactly what it is that you speak about. So you can use emojis. Emojis bring to life what it is that you do if you don't have a lot of space to do text. And you can show people what your themes are, what you talk about, what you affiliate yourself with using your stories highlights. You must definitely link to your site or other platforms if you don't have a website. You want to include your email so that they can message you, they can send emails. If you've got any branded hashtags, use those, and it encourages people to use your hashtags as well. More niche hashtags are easier to capitalize on than using generic broad hashtags, which everybody uses. You also want to make sure that you have a call to action, what it is that you want people to do. Build your brand identity. So in this example, what we can see here is there's a color palette that this influencer uses. And she might actually be using a preset. I'll tell you more about presets, but what it does is it enables your feed to have a consistent look and feel. You can see the similar shades that are being used, tones, shapes, textures. That's what you want to play with. You want to build something that your brand can immediately be recognized for. And it helps establish that brand identity. Here's a great example of a shoe brand. I mean, how do you make shoes look beautiful and aesthetically pleasing online? And you do it through your brand identity and your color palette. Okay, so to play around with that and establish that right from the get-go. This is an example of an influencer who is very much about body positivity. She's warm and pink. And here's another influencer who's about earth and being natural, and she's cool and more natural tones. So Facebook is a platform to rule them all. It's a massive powerhouse with huge data collection on its users. It leverages hyper-targeted advertising and community building. There are so many different formats of content for me to even get started on. As I said, they'll teach you everything if you use their platform, and I'll share those resources at the end of the webinar. Important to remember that organic reach is dead. Less than 1% of people, if that, will see your content unless you put money behind it. So only put hygiene content in your Facebook newsfeed. And also remember how people use Facebook. If they come to your page by choice, they're going to look at maybe 3 or 4 posts down. That's it. It's not like with Instagram where they will look at the whole aesthetic feed, and that's why your feed should be really beautiful. Facebook, make sure that your content is really useful and really speaks to the core of your brand. 40 character Facebook posts achieve more engagement. Optimize all your videos for mobile. Assume that people are going to engage on Facebook using mobile. Turn the sound and cater for sound off, so using subtitles, because people aren't going to engage on videos if they're in a public space, even though they're not in this day and age, but optimize for sound off. Alternatively, if you've got the resources to do so, invest in serial video, because that kind of content keeps audiences really engaged and they return. And you use really strong storytelling tactics to do this. And Facebook actually prioritize this kind of content in the newsfeed. If people commit to watching a 3-minute long video because it's captivating, because it's part of a series, and it's because it's part of a theme that the brand has established and wanting to use. Don't post live event content in Facebook, save that for stories. And don't post too much frequently in the day. You actually cannibalize on the success of your previous post. Because you tell Facebook that, oh, the post we did an hour ago is not important, and they will deprioritize that in the user's newsfeed. Instagram, very high impact, visual, Showcase your product and imagery, showcase lifestyle shots. Make sure you have a blend of lifestyle, product, and real world, but creativity really wins. Hashtags, you've got up to 30 hashtags that you can use on a post, and hashtags help to aggregate content, similar content. It helps people discover content. So Instagram is an easier platform to use if you don't have a lot of marketing budget or paid media budget to help promote your posts. It is important to put some money aside, but when you're just starting out and you just want to grab people's attention through your creativity, Instagram is the way to do it. It's very aesthetic focused. Loads of different content formats as well, but ultimately high quality visuals and profiles are what are going to grab attention. So you want to make an impact with your layout. And I'm actually just going to showcase some local brands because I think they're doing a great job. You can see here, this feed, when you land on it, you can see her color palette. She's using a straight line. It is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. Here's another one. This is an international brand. Well, actually just a photographer, but again, using that straight line and putting everything in threes. And at the top of the bio, it says follow the white line. And it basically takes you on a journey to various destinations. It's beautiful. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and people will follow profiles that look like this. This is another local business. What we can see here is clearly what it is that they do using their stories. And here they're using the tiled approach. Now these kind of quotes just dispersed either in a straight line or randomly in your feed. It's beautiful, it's motivating, it fits the brand. Now these kind of content pieces can be created in a tool for free called Canva. You use it on your mobile phone. There's paid for versions, there's free versions. Over is another app as well that you can use on your phone. I'll put all these resources at the end. And you can create these quite easily just to break up your feed a bit. You can use puzzle pieces. So here we're seeing on Otherness events again, how they've put 4 images together. Here's 2 images, here's 2. And just to like take people on a journey. Just being aesthetic and ultimately Instagram is all about standing out. It's all about making an impact. Another cool thing that Instagram has done is augmented reality. Now it's Facebook for Business have done this. What we're seeing is brands, users can create filters for themselves. So what we're seeing here on Cotton On, here's the Instagram stories, IGTV, their shop, and now they've got this augmented reality. They've created their own face filters, and anybody can do this. It just takes some creativity, and that's why I say get the kids involved, get the teenagers involved. You can do this through Spark AR. You can download the studio, and there's an expanded library of assets that you can use to get started. It's a ton you can get playing around with there. Get the creative kids on board, the nieces, the nephews, the teenagers that are on TikTok and doing this anyway. Get them creating. It's a great skill to learn. Don't forget WhatsApp for Business. I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but ultimately you will need a new mobile number, but it's a great way to engage and manage an online business through WhatsApp. And it's more direct as well. It's better than SMSs. I don't think anybody reads SMSs anymore. Easy to implement e-commerce plugins. Here we see on Facebook, clear shop now button. You've got your catalog. Again, another local brand. This is the Instagram storefront. We're seeing using the lifestyle stories here. Click through to their shop. You can view the product. You can also look at the pricing by clicking on the image, clicking through, and you can see how the product is worn. And getting this up and about, this you can link to the website. Alternatively, you can start checking out Commerce Manager on Facebook to either set up your storefront or using an e-commerce platform. And the various e-commerce platforms you can use that are very easy to implement. You can use Shopify. There's also a local brand called Shopstar, which have a great special on now to assist small business in uncertain times. So go check that out as well. Now, I mentioned that all of this can be managed in Facebook Business Manager. I'll again put the resource at the end, but All of this detail can be taught, can be managed, and it's easier than you think. You don't have to manage everything from the front end of your Facebook. This will help you actually build a proper business. So I quickly want to talk about the 7 steps to content development, because content really is the key to engaging your audience and getting them to come back for more. So there's 7 steps. The first one is building the brand voice. So the brand voice is essentially the sweet spot in content marketing, which lies between the marketing goals, what it is that you're wanting to achieve as a business, your brand's personality, unpacking what that is, who your brand is if you were to humanize them, personify them, and then finally the audience truth, what it is that your target audience wants. And you know that because you've done your listening exercises, you've asked the questions, you know what it is that they're needing right now. And that is where you find your sweet spot for your brand voice. Okay, so putting these together, and you can unpack your brand voice in quite detail to humanize that brand. You can insert a photo of what they might look like, but you basically want to build a character, a real character, so that you can step into that character, and that is your brand. Now, a lot of brands, especially small businesses, is that the owner of the business is the brand voice, and that's fine. If you align to everything about your business and your values and your mission align to who you are as a person, absolutely be the brand voice. And a brand voice is not a spokesperson. It is a character, and it informs the way that we talk, and informs the tonality that we use, the words that we use, how we respond to people, our color palette, our tones, visual cues. Okay, so it also informs your brand lens. And that's your next step in your content development. So your brand lens must add focus and inspire your content pillars and themes. Essentially, your brand lens is taken from your brand essence. It's a one-sentence succinct summary of what your brand is about. Okay, and it helps define a tone of voice, and it helps brand your content pillars to become more aligned with your brand. So it's a sentence that sums up all the attributes of a brand and informs the basis for its emotional connection with its customers. Some examples of brand lenses are taken from the brand essence. Volvo is all about safety. Apple's all about thinking differently. Nike is authentic athletic performance. These are not slogans. These are internal facing slogans in a sense. And that is your brand lens. So the next step is developing content pillars. Content pillars are the subjects that you will talk about. Okay, so you want to have a nice balance here. You want to have people's passions, your passions as well. So what do you really care about? Is it music? Is it clothing? What is it? What is it that is aligned to your brand? What is your purpose? So what do you do and why do you do it? Like, what is the core driver? Now, these two pillars, they help you engage the consumer. They speak to an emotional truth. So unpack what these subjects would be for your brand, and these will inform what you talk about. Then you've also got product as well. What have you created and how does it work? Okay, you will do product content as well. And then promotion. So promotion is what makes you unique, what is your unique selling proposition, and any campaigns that you might be doing. And this is brand awareness. Now use this to help you unpack what it is that you're going to be speaking about. Choose, I would say, 4 or 5 subjects and speak to those over a long period of time, because that will help you really unpack what your content is aiming, is who you're speaking to. You can see on this example, very much this brand is about, it's selling hemp products, about earth, it's about the elements. This is what we speak about, and this is our content pillars, and everything, all that is aesthetic comes out in the profile as well. So the next step is content types. There's various different content types that you can look at, but essentially you want to have a balance of these 3. You've got hygiene content, so that's your always on content. It's designed to pull your audience, your core audience, in towards the brand. You've got your hub content, so this is regularly push content designed for your prime prospects. And then you've got your hero content. So this is your large scale, go big campaigns where You might have collaborative campaign with an influencer, and it's really designed to raise broad brand awareness. And then content format. There's so many content formats available, but essentially content is the message, the media format is the vehicle on which that message is delivered. Okay, so whether it is video, whether it's GIFs, whether it's filters, content formats abound, and you've just got to start playing with them. Then you've got your content calendar. So it's very important to plan. You can have a theme approach where you plan ahead for 2 to 6 months, and you might speak about one theme over a period of time, for 2 weeks, for a month. And this is a great way for using storytelling or long-term campaigns, rolling out of a similar period of time. And then you've got always on approach. And this is where you want to be posting regularly, but really like a very good tip is to plan 1 month in advance. So have a day where you just make content, where you take your products, you take lifestyle shots. It's much easier to do it all in one go at the beginning of a month and then schedule it from there than trying to do it every day. Because you have to have the lighting right, you have to have the equipment, you have to have everything there ready. And if you just set up 2 days just to create content, it takes the pressure off, especially if you're trying to juggle managing a business at the same time. So always an approach ties back to your pillar content as well. And these are shared randomly throughout the month. And as I said, they can be scheduled in advance. And then finally, we talk about content creation. There's 3 key things that you need to hit with content creation, and it's all about exchanging value. And the value exchange is essentially you need to provide value to your audience. And you do this through being informative, giving them something that upskills themselves, like this webinar. I'm here to provide you information. Give them something that's emotional. People love to be moved. Or give them something that entertains them. If your content doesn't hit one of these 3 things, it's probably not going to hit them at all. So please make them feel something. Make them really feel when they see your content. It's so important to make that impact. Creator Studio on Facebook allows you to manage all your content in one place for both Facebook and Instagram. If you want to do presets to make your imagery look a lot more beautiful than what it is if you're not a photographer, get Lightroom Presets. It can take from the drab to the fab very quickly. Very important to remember that it's quality over quantity. Post less and focus on high quality content than just posting too much superfluous stuff. If you want to get a balance right, use the 80-20 principle. We have 80% interesting content to your audience, not to you, and then 20% promotional. If you're too focused on promoting product, people will tune out. They want the interesting stuff as well. So we've got 2 minutes left, and I said I would post the resources. Facebook for Business and Facebook for Business Learn is where you'll find all these platforms. The Learn link that I've put there is where you will find the lessons to actually implement all of this and practically apply it. It's free. Anybody can do it. You get from any age. There's Over app, there's Canva app, Lightroom app, Spark AR, using Google Sheets to build content plans, Shopify and Shopstar. But further to this, I also wanted to introduce you to something that's very close to our heart. It is our textbook. This textbook is 600 pages. It is the most widely read textbook in the world because it's free to download online. We've had over 1 million downloads. It's used at universities around the world. It's now in its 6th edition. And if you go to redandyellow.ac, you can download this textbook and read it for free. And it will cover digital marketing as a whole. But this is foundational level. There's so much more to learn, and it's that thick. We work with industry professionals, and we've listed their names at the back of the book if you would like to see the caliber of people and the credibility of the people that we work with in order to bring this free learning to everybody. It's what we're passionate about at Red and Yellow. And then if you want to get certified, you can take the digital marketing aptitude test and actually get a certificate from a credible training provider just for reading that textbook. But don't be fooled. It's not an easy test. So if you do decide to do it, make sure you've really done the homework and done the reading. So to end off, I know we're out of time, so I won't have time for questions. I would really encourage you to keep this conversation going. You can tweet us, Instagram us, or Facebook us, send us a message at Red and Yellow Ed. All of our accounts are Red and Yellow Ed. You can use the hashtag RYSocialWebinar, and I will jump online and I will answer your questions happily. And with that, I would like to say it's 11 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining, and I really hope this has offered you great value, and we hope to see you again.